What's going on, NuCanoe Nation? Welcome back for another Unlimited, baby. We got the commander and the chief in the house tonight, but first, go down in that lower left-hand corner, smash that share button, drop in the comments where you're tuning in from, what kind of boat you are floating out of. Got Andrew Vinton in the comments already. Said, can't wait for mine. Straight fire. Yeah, buddy. Doug, sorry, brother. You got to let everybody get logged on here, man. But we'll get Mr. Blake Young in here tonight. Got some exciting stuff you guys are going to want to see, want to hear. We're going to talk about the state of the NuCanoe, the transducer mount, like sneak peek. Yeah, buddy. Motor mounts, all that good stuff. So I see Corey Taylor saying there's a shortage of plastic, I believe due to the freeze in Texas, not NuCanoe's fault. We're going to address that stuff. If you guys have a question as we're going along, feel free to drop them in the comments. We'll make sure to get those answered for you this evening. So without further ado, the man himself, Mr. Blake Young. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm well, Brian. Glad to be on the podcast tonight. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, it's kind of your podcast, not mine. It's your name on it. I just, kind of do this thing over here.
You do all the hard work, so
it's all good,
appreciate
man.
it. It's been awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. This is episode 13. It's pretty crazy,
Wow.
but
great.
Yeah, we're plugging along, my friend. But I guess, like I mentioned, I'm sure you heard, we already had a comment in here about plastic shortage. So that's some of the stuff we wanted to cover tonight, as you and I talked about, is like kind of like the state of NuCanoe, where we're at, some updates for the folks that maybe have boats on order, things like that. So, the big thing going on in the industry right now is there's this huge plastic shortage. So why don't we talk about that and kind of where we're at as far as boats and being molded is?
Sure. Yeah, it's been, it's a wild environment out there for operating, first off with the crazy demand, which not complaining about that one bit. It's great to see so many people wanting to get in kayaks, get outdoors, get into kayak fishing, and some of those people wanting to get in NuCanoe. So we're loving that. We're super excited about it. And our team is firing on all cylinders. We've got a great crew here in Bellingham. I'm back in Bellingham for a week and a half, enjoying these abnormally warm 70-degree days every day. So spend about 10 days here and not see one raindrop. So that's great.
Yeah, you're lucky.
I know it's been raining a lot of days out back in Florida. So kind of timed it just right.
As the Midwest is getting pounded with snow right now.
Yeah, that's not what we need.
That's right. It's supposed to get nice out next week. So
good. So we're cranking away here. As far as the plastic goes, yeah, it's a constrained environment. We're, having to adapt, having to kind of substitute some colors and, adjust things on the fly just to keep things rolling. But we've not, essentially we haven't missed a day or a cycle of production due to any plastic shortages. It's just something that instead of you could just take it for granted that we're going to have the resin we need when we need it. Now it's something that you're spending a lot of time and energy and focus on planning ahead for contingency. What's going to happen if, 6-8 weeks down the road, we don't have enough of a color, or we start, having real constraints. So we're looking ahead. We're trying to figure out, what we need to do, right now to keep things rolling, what we need to do next week, the week after, and then, 3-6 months down the road, because we've never had an environment like this. People in the plastics business, they've been doing resin a lot more, hands-on and than I have, just, hey, it's different. It's unique. So,
yeah.
But what I can tell you is we're, our goal, what we're striving for is to make sure that we're, making as many boats as we can every day and every week, so we can get orders filled. We can get boats out to dealers as quick as possible. Man, we'd love for that to be the exact right color every time, but where we need to be creative, where we need to talk to dealers and customers and say, hey, when we've had to do this, say, hey, our standard olive material we're out of, we have this other color that's very similar. Can we substitute that? yeah, just do it, keep rolling. You know, some people see the substitutes and are like, man, you should make that the primary color for olive and tundra. We like that better. So a lot of times, you know, crazy things happen and you come out with something that's like, oh, that wasn't intended, but yeah, that's great. So we're rolling, man. But every day it's something, you know, with resin, with just different component supplies, about, you know, over 100 different parts and pieces that go into our kayaks, and each one of those has their own supply chain, their own story about how it gets to us. And you know, it's a constant, you know, not necessarily a battle, but just something we're looking at, you know, regularly to try to make sure that we have everything we need to keep production rolling.
No, I get that, man. I know this was asked on another show, but how many boats are typically made in a day? Do you know that number by chance?
Yeah, we're making. I mean, we're cranking up more and more boats every day. I can say we're up about, you know, 40% from what we were making in the second half of last year. So we're
Okay.
getting about 2 to 3 trucks out a week,
Okay.
and you know, if you look at what our average shipments are for a given week or a month, I can tell you right now we're about 65% ahead of where we were, you know, a year ago, about 25-30% ahead of where we were 3 months ago. So despite all of the chaos, you know, the extended lead times, I mean, that truly on our end truly is just a case of demand growing so fast,
Yeah.
because our production, our capacity has grown. We're shipping more boats, but we just can't keep up. Now, one thing that's definitely affected, you know, lead times, especially for, you know, over the last couple months, have been the unlimited. So the unlimited came out, kind of had everything mapped out for production for the different shipping groups. Well, then we had the 2-week delay where we had to make some mold changes to get it just right. You know, some other things didn't quite, you know, go as smooth as we would have hoped on that ramp up. And then we're looking at it and going, man, we're getting way ahead on Frontier 12s, F10s, you know, building up inventory on those, but not shipping them because we're waiting for unlimiteds to be ready. So we've been reworking shipment schedules over the last couple of weeks and really trying to get as many boats out the door as we can. So over the next few weeks, we're going to have, you know, record numbers of boats shipping on a weekly basis. You know, not as many. We'd love to have all those unlimited orders ship out in the next few weeks, but, you know, it simply isn't possible. So we're trying to get as many boats out the door, you know, get those Flints, F10s, Frontier 12s, Pursuits out to dealers that they have on order, you know, in April instead of mid-May, or, you know, just as soon as we can.
Right on.
Looking
Right on.
ahead, I think I've shared this before, maybe not, you know, on the public side, but we do have a second mold coming for the Unlimited in late May, early June. So when that hits, we'll have double the capacity on the Unlimited, and then we'll really be able to make some headway, you know, getting those orders shipped out, getting boats built, and, you know, fulfilling the demand that we have out there.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I don't think that was shared publicly. I think you shared that amongst Team NuCanoe, but I figured you were going to jump in on that. So
What better spot to do it than on the Unlimited podcast, huh, Brian?
I like it. I like it. I like it.
You want the inside scoop, you got to watch the show. So this is the place. So we're excited about that. Also making some changes on the Flint, putting it on. We're going to move that to a separate machine for molding. That will give us more Flint capacity. It'll also free up what we were doing on the Flint for other models. So with these changes, you know, in 3 months time, we should be another 30-40% ahead of where we are today on what we can ship in a given week, in a given month.
Nice. That'll be sweet. That'll be sweet. NuCanoe making some changes, ramping up production. Dave Palmer's in the
Hey,
Palmer.
Dave.
He's asking
Spartan hunting.
there you go. How long does it take for a boat to be made from the first scoop of plastic going in the mold?
Oh, good question, Dave. So you've got various kind of stages of the process. The first stage is when you have, you know, essentially the mold is open but empty. So then the first thing we're going to be doing is putting the inserts in, screwing them onto the studs, and then putting the graphics on, then pouring in the resin, and that's probably about 15 minutes for that kind of prepping the boat. And then the mold's going to shut. It's going to get clamped, lifted up by the crane, and transferred into the oven. where it's going to run its cycle for cooking for about 30-35 minutes. Comes out of the oven, and then it cools for another 20-25 minutes or so until it gets to the right temperature. And then going to be that kind of first process in reverse of opening up, going to take all those inserts out so that the boat will release and won't be kind of held in, opening up that mold, popping out the part, and then letting it cool on a cooling fixture until it's essentially room temperature. So that full process, from start to finish on a boat is going to be about roughly an hour and a half. And we have about 3 to 4 different cradles that are in this rotation. So the trick to rotomolding, as soon as one part comes out of the oven, you got another one going in. So that oven's cooking something all the time. And that's one of the ways we've been able to increase our production, is just by increasing the efficiency of kind of that rotation of the molds through the oven.
Yeah, I got a firsthand look at that when I came up to the factory when the Unlimited got released. And yeah, I mean, it was as soon as they got one out, they already had one staged up and ready to go in the oven. And it was just a never-ending cycle. I mean, super cool to watch too,
Yeah, that oven just is firing, the 24 hours a day for the most part. Little bit of break between molds, but not much.
Yeah, it's almost like they have to put the air conditioning on in the winter because those ovens are running so hot in there, just nonstop. So
yeah, I know,
cool.
Brian was out there and he brought his sweatshirts and was all prepared for the 15, 20 degrees out there. But man, once you get in the plant, you're like, I need
shorts and a
nothing
t-shirt.
else, or I'll be sweating.
That is very true. That is very true. Well, and you guys started shipping the gear pods as well, correct?
Yes. Gear pods have been shipping. We're, one of our challenges on the gear pods has been the aluminum tracks. That aluminum is, that's been tough touch and go here, getting our supply on that. So we're really close to getting stocked up on it. We do have more out there for the gear pods now, but we've shipped probably about a third of the open orders. We should get another third shipped here in the next week or so, and then the rest of them a week or two after that. So we're cranking them out, and orders keep coming in. I mean, the gear pod turned out really great. I'm pumped about it. If you have a gear pod, definitely drop in the comments what you like about it. Love to get that feedback, share it with others. It was a real collaborative process with our team, kind of going back and forth to try to get the size and the shape and everything just right. And I think it came out pretty good. Curious to know what you all think.
Yeah, I got mine, and I think it was in the last show, guys were asking if a 100 amp hour battery would fit in it. I did test it. It does not fit, but my 30 amp hour battery fits in there. And, I got a wiring port coming out of the side, and then I got my wiring running through the hull of the boat, which on the Unlimited, the hull access with the wiring panels is just so key. It made life very, very easy. So I'm waiting on one more component, and then I'll release my setup, which hopefully is coming soon. Me and Blake already talked about it, but that gear pod is super sweet. Like taking it in and out. I was showing some folks at the kayak shop this past weekend. I had my boat with me, and the fact that I like, just carrying it around is super easy.
Yeah, that handle. That was one of the last things we put on there. But man, I love that.
Yeah.
Killer.
Yeah, it's super nice. And then the molded handles in the bottom as well for carrying it around. I kind of, guys and gals that know me, I carry around too much gear. So mine was a little heavy. Having those two handles, being able to carry it around was super, super nice.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, you got the bow handle just kind of carry it on end. Those underneath handles to carry it, level, which is cool. But let me throw this out there since we got a good audience here. We didn't put the drain plug on the final gear pod because when it came down to it, we just thought, man, putting another hole in there, a hole for the plug and then 2 holes for the fasteners. If someone doesn't want a drain plug, that's just another potential source of water intrusion or leaking. But we've had some feedback, people saying, where's the drain plug? So we're cool doing it either way, but if you have a gear pod or think about getting one, let us know if you think having that drain plug in there would be valuable to you, or if you'd prefer just to leave it out and be able to add it if you want to.
Yeah, I know from my personal experience this past Saturday being on the water, a couple boats come in, speared their wakes a little, had some water come over the front of the boat, and everything in my pod was completely dry, no water in
That's
it
what we want.
whatsoever. So
Cool.
I can attest that it's sealed up pretty tight.
Good. That was a huge factor in that, is just making sure that's going to be just reliable dry storage.
Nice, nice. Richard Earhart in the chat is asking, are the aluminum rails anodized or painted?
They are anodized. It's a two-step anodizing process that will hold up to UV, so they should be just as black, 5 years from now as they are today.
Very cool. Um, so yeah, we talked about the boats. Boats are shipping. We got accessories starting to ship out, the gear pods, stuff like that. We're gonna show some of these motor mounts tonight, and those I believe you told me before we jumped on. A lot of these are in stock, ready to rock for the most part, correct?
Yeah, let's do a rundown on the motors, because I know that's something that a lot of people have been waiting on. Get motors on order, then not knowing where they're shipping. So it's been, in a sense, it's a black hole, on some of these motors. All the manufacturers just trying to keep up, trying to provide as much visibility as possible, just like we're trying to do on kayak shipments. But it's a challenge for sure in this environment. But just running through the motors that we offer, the Honda outboards, we have those in stock and available. We have more coming, in 4 or 5 weeks. So we're looking good on supply there. The Motor Guide XI3 kayaks have been selling like hotcakes. And there was about 5 or 6 weeks where we weren't able to ship any due to component shortages. But the majority of orders that were open as of a week or two ago were either filled last week or are shipping out this week. And Motor Guy did inform us that they're expecting to get back to a 3-week lead time on the motors. So that was awesome news, that they'll be able to, just kind of stay current on orders instead of having them queue up and then shipping out large batches at a time. So if you're on the sidelines looking at an XI3, good news, you probably won't be waiting 8-10 weeks to get that. So that's what you want. Get your order in and make sure you got one coming your way before long. Torqeedos, the 1103s have essentially been on back order, since they launched a year and a half ago. We have worked with Torqeedo to kind of put some advance orders in, so we have a shortened lead times for our customers. So we have a few more of those available for shipping in April and May, or excuse me, not April, but probably mid-late May. And then those are probably beyond that. You're looking at anywhere from probably 8 to 12 weeks on those. 403 ACs are went into back order as well. I don't have up-to-date information on those, but I believe they'd be shipping within probably 3 to 6 weeks if you're doing a new order there. Then the EPS motors are pretty readily available. Our supplier's done a good job on those, keeping those in stock. So if you're looking for a motor setup you can be running with real quick, the EPS is a great option. And then the new quick connect mounts, which we're going to show you in a minute, those we started shipping yesterday. So we got the first small batch out. Be building more of those, getting more of those shipped out later this week and then on into next week. And those the mounts we have a lot of control over, so we'll be able to really keep those available and have those shipped pretty quick, probably within the week of most orders coming in. We've had some supply issues on the steering cables. We have a lot of steering cables for Unlimiteds, Frontier 12s, and Flints, but the length for the F10 and the Pursuit is a little more challenging. We're working with a number of suppliers, try to make sure we have those in stock, but that could be one potential thing that could be a hiccup on those models. But the other motor mounts, once we get dialed in over the next week or two on production, get those built up, we'll be able to ship those out straight away. And a couple questions that I know some of you are thinking: if I have a current EPS, will the new mount work? Yes, it will. We're going to have all the various components of the Quick Connect motor mounts for the EPS and Torqeedo available individually, and going to get some good just kind of visual graphics as to what you need. So if that's what you're thinking, the answer is yes. Just give us a week or two to get our systems dialed in, and then you'll be ready to, that's something we'll get up on the store and make available through dealers. And the same with Torqeedo. If you have a current Torqeedo and want to replace the bracket that's holding that in place with the new Quick Connect, that'll be possible as well.
We got one question in here. Any updates on the decking kits?
I'm imagining we're talking about just availability on those.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, most decking kits are in stock and shipping. If it's something particular, the unlimited decking kits I know have started coming in. So if there's anything that hasn't shipped, it's probably just a back order on that individual item and should just be, you know, a matter of a week or two. We don't have any current long-term, you know, shortages on the decking kits, fortunately.
Okay, cool. I know some guys are asking about the transducer system. We will get to that shortly.
Yes, we will.
Does the new mount work with the pivot drive?
Yes, the new mount works with the pivot drive. The transom bracket that the pivot drive prop shaft is going to go on is the same as what you're going to use with the motor mounts. So we can actually cover that in a minute when we do the little walkthrough. I'll be able to kind of visually show you instead of just talking it through.
This is always a question that pops up, and I know it varies from manufacturer to manufacturer, but can you install Boondocks landing gear on the stock tracks of the Unlimited?
You can. I wouldn't feel 100% confident saying go for it. It won't be a problem at all. But there is a little bracket that we're looking at that we kind of have a design for. Actually, as a NuCanoe owner that kind of shared a drawing to be able to tie in the Boondocks to both the main deck tracks and the gunnel tracks. And with that set up, I'd feel really good.
Okay.
I know Ramel, Team New, our rigging wizard, he worked up a setup for Cody Morgan down in California for the Boondocks. And I believe he used a backing plate on that one. But if Cody or Ramel is tuned in today, they can chime in and share some more details. But that's something we're definitely looking at because I know the Boondocks landing gear is killer, and it'd be an awesome partner. It'd be just really awesome on the Unlimited.
Yeah, and we had Romel on two episodes ago, so go back and check that out. We talked a lot about like the way he rigs up boats, where his inspiration comes from, all that good stuff. So definitely go back and check that out. I believe Jason's asking, does the basic decking kit also with the regular decking kit? I believe you're talking about the same thing, man. All boats come with the basic decking kit. It's when you get the complete decking kit to fill in all the space that isn't covered.
That's correct. Yeah, the basic decking kit's on all the models, and the completion kit kind of gives you the rest if you want the full coverage.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's all the questions we got for now. We want to do a walkthrough on
yeah, let's do it
on these mounts, man. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
cool. So we'll get you guys a up close and personal look at all these different mounts.
Yeah, so start over here on the Frontier 12. This is an EPS setup. So the you got your steering handle and the transom bracket, the retract cord, and that stuff's going to be common between the EPS, Torpedo, and the pivot drive. So if we pull this off right here, this hub piece is specific to EPS and Torpedo, the Quick Connect, but there's a similar hub for the pivot drive. So if you have a pivot drive and you want to put it on, all you need to do is pop off that bolt, pop off this hub, put on the other hub, but all the other stuff that's on the boat is going to stay. So it makes it real interchangeable and even real easy to get off. You can see here, just pulling one pin, lift that right off. So this is the Quick Connect motor mount, and super pumped with how this turned out. We made a lot of changes. One of the coolest ones, kind of tricky to see here, but there's actually a brass ball in here on a spring that catches on this latch, and that's what locks in the motor, but allows it to kick up if you hit something. It also allows you to retract it from the seat. So that just turned out really nice. It simply clamps around the motor. So it takes about 5 or 10 minutes to install the first time when you get it in, and then it's just pull a pin and drop it on. There on out. The The throttle control here just mounts right in the track. So, you know, one knob to loosen there, pull that out, disconnect the battery, and this stuff is all rolling with you, you know, in a matter of a minute from when you get off the water. This is the setup on the Unlimited. These transom brackets, got the first 4 in today. The rest of the order will be coming in a day or two. But we're excited about that. The 1103 motor literally showed up this afternoon. We were getting set up, and I said, I don't think we have a Torpedo yet. And the guy said, oh, we got one in today. So that was exciting. So really looking forward to getting that out on the water. But that's a heck of a motor this Unlimited is just going to fly with that thing on. But it's the exact same mount. So all the pieces on this mount that's on the Torpedo is exactly the same as what you have back here on the EPS. So very interchangeable, very universal. And again, kicks right up with that retract, locks in, got excellent steering, and everything is just kind of locked in and universal between the steering handle, transom bracket, and the retract system. So really easy to interchange between a motor and a pivot drive. Now, if we come over here, I can give you kind of a little look through at the whole system. So this essentially, it's transom brackets, model specific, and this is the full quick connect motor mount assembly. And so this is what we're replacing with the Torpedo. And this thing worked, but it was pretty clunky. And this is what we're replacing with the EPS. So you can just see how much more streamlined, how much cleaner and simpler, lighter, smaller everything is. So it's really cool. And then you got your speed controller base, throttle mount for the Torpedo, the base mount for the EPS, retract cord, steering cable, steering handle. So this is all the motor mount assemblies for the Torpedo and the EPS. And that we started shipping those this week, and we'll get all the open orders filled within a week or two. Now, something that's really cool on this Torpedo, if you've had a Torpedo, you know, like with the other mount, it wasn't the easiest to get on and off. But with this, pop off that steering throttle, disconnect the retract, pull that pin, and that's what you got. So 30 seconds, you can take that off your kayak or put it on. As simple as that. Really easy to take on and off, really easy to, you know, get to and from the water. And just, it's a great setup. You're really gonna enjoy that. And then over here, same setup on the Pursuit, another EPS setup. And just for kind of reference, here's the pivot drive on a Flint.
So we got a couple questions about the pivot drive.
Okay. Sure.
So does the pivot drive come with everything needed to install, or do you need to order the transom mount for it?
No, the pivot drive comes with everything you need. It's ready to go.
And then this will be the default mount for the pivot drive orders, or do you have to spec it? Obviously, you just answered that question.
Yes. Yeah, so, this is what you get with the pivot drive. So.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, man. Sorry, I just wanted to address those as we were walking over to it.
It's we're working out the details for someone who has a pivot drive that wants to get an EPS or a Torpedo, so you're not buying the redundant parts if you don't need them. Just trying to get everything where it's real smooth for production, for shipping, for ordering, but there are some different scenarios. So if you're not just looking for the off-the-shelf, you know, the full setup, or you got kind of some custom considerations, give us a couple weeks to kind of get all that dialed in, make all the individual components available, and kind of map out what you'd need for different scenarios. We'll try to make it as clear as possible.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So basically, the new pivot drive mount, if you had an EPS as well, you could swap back and forth. You don't have to change the transom mount. It's the same bracket, correct?
Yeah, it's the same bracket. So you can pop that off if you have the pivot drive. Pop this guy off, disconnect that, And then I already pulled off the Torpedo, so just to show you how easy this can be. Grab the hub.
While you're doing that, we got TWC on YouTube asking, can the Unlimited do a tandem with a pivot drive?
Yes, it can. We haven't actually. I know I had an email come in from our pivot drive support guy, Anthony, today saying he had somebody that did set it up, that did use the pivot drive tandem. I believe it was on a Frontier 12 in this case. But yes, essentially what needs to happen is to use the shorter drive cable for the F10, and that allows that pedal tower to be further back. So the person pedaling is the rear passenger, and then you have the bow passenger in front of the pedal tower. So that's
Okay.
kind of how it works: passenger, pedal tower, pedaler, and then transom. So, we're not totally plugged in here, but we've got the Torpedo set up where we had a pivot drive just a couple minutes ago. So that's how easy it is, how universal everything is. Same steering system, same retract, same transom bracket. So if you're in a case where some days you want to pedal, some days you want to use power, it's going to be a pretty killer option to have a pivot drive and a Torpedo or an EPS.
I'm just saying, man, that 1103 on that Flint just looks,
Whew.
I mean, you got to be ripping.
I think we're going to have to find some time to get on the water tomorrow.
Wow, Andrew Vinton's in the chat, and he's saying, so what Blake is saying is my wife can pedal me around while I fish. No motor needed.
Exactly.
I like it. That's why we call tandems divorce boats, boys and girls.
We got a little sneak preview for you hiding out in the gear vault here.
Oh, all right. Here it is.
You mentioned the transducer retract, and I know it's something that's been tossed around. Well, it's coming. This is the first prototype. You kind of see that goes right up through the scuppers here. And then when that is in the Unlimited, I mean, it's barely revealed through that whole channel. And then it deploys down so you can get the full effect of the side scan transducer. And then it's just this little cord that's going to come up on the top of the deck. You'll have your little cleat right here to lock it out, and it'll be locked in the up position and loose in the down position. So if you hit something, it'll just freely pop back up. So this is round one. We learned some stuff on this. We're got round two designed. Usually for the last 5 years, 10 years, whenever we order 3D printed parts, 3 days later they ship. Well, now it's like a week, 2 weeks later. So have to wait a little bit longer than we hope to get the next round put together. But in about 2 weeks, we should have version 2 of the prototype put together, and we're on track for this thing being available probably in July. So that's exciting. It's going to be a killer edition for the Unlimited.
That's slick. I like it. Let's see. We have Blaine Upton asking in the chat, what propulsion system would you recommend for shallow river fishing? Lots of rocks. Was trying to decide between the pivot drive and the EPS.
Oh, man. Blaine, you're more of an expert in that than I am, so I think either one's going to suit you well.
Well, the mounts are designed to break away if you hit something, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think the difference, if you hit something with like the EPS, it's actually the head of the motor that's kind of hitting something. If you hit something with the pivot drive, it's that, aluminum shaft that's super burly and tough on for the prop shaft. So that may be a bit of a consideration that I think, repeated abuse, you'd probably be better off with the pivot drive, but it kind of just depends on how often you're expecting to be, hitting those unexpected objects. I know Blaine
Like it.
fishes pretty hard, so he probably needs, maybe you just need both, man.
So we got a great question here from Paul Graham. Going back to motor mounts, I already own a Minn Kota transom mount motor. Will any of the mounts work with it? Understand that some mods might have to be done.
Yeah, great question, Paul. And yes, everything will work. The only thing that you'll have to kind of DIY is the throttle.
Yep.
But you can take the motor mount and clamp it straight onto your Minn Kota, plug it in, have the retract, have the steering straight out of the box. But what you're not going to have is an ability to, control the throttle. So if you can wire that in or figure out your own way to handle that, then yes, this will all work with an off-the-shelf transom mount trolling motor.
Nice. That guys are asking, can they pre-order the transducer system to get in line?
Not yet, but
Not
as
yet.
soon as we have, design complete, we're off into production on the tooling. We have an estimated ship date, and we know everything that's going to be involved. And yes, we'll definitely get those, get that up for pre-ordering. And the nice thing about that, it is, once we get those 3 injection molded parts and 2 kind of CNC cut parts. So it's pretty simple on the production. You got a lot of the tooling and all that stuff to get done ahead of time. But what I'm getting at is once we have those available, I wouldn't expect long lead times on those. We'll be able to crank a bunch of those out in a short amount of time and keep those in stock.
All right. Kevin Warwick, what about the bow mount motor bracket for the Unlimited? I believe those are available and shipping currently, correct?
Yes, those are available and shipping. We did have a shipment of those just go missing.
Uh-oh.
So it's not what you want to hear, but I believe we're on back order on those now, but just be a week or 2 before we have them available again. And we have
Okay.
a lot in the queue, but we had one shipment come in that somehow got repackaged by FedEx, and that's never a good sign. So
Gotcha.
seems those bow motor mounts somehow didn't make it off the truck to us.
Somebody at FedEx has got a couple NuCanoes they're looking to rig up or something.
Yeah, something like that. They know what's hot.
To answer Blaine's question, my good man JD DeRosier in the comments said Adam Cawley had fished the pivot drive in the Savannah River area where it's super rocky. It had served him well to his knowledge. So maybe that helps out too on that answer. And then a lot of these questions coming in, and I was saving this for last to all my duck hunting brethren out there. Is there a blind in the works for the Unlimited?
Oh, it's more than in the works. Yes. It's actually sitting up in our shop, the prototype for it.
Okay.
So if I was thinking ahead, we would have brought that down here, but we'll get Brian to post some photos of that on our Instagram or Facebook stories here this week to show you that it's coming. We got to fit test it. We have the make some adjustments potentially, and then the material for that is coming in about 4 to 5 weeks. And we already got our orders in for production on the blinds once the material lands. So yes, I would expect those to be shipping probably late June, early July.
Can you start pre-ordering those? Asking for a friend.
Yes, tell your friend. Yes, not as of right now.
Okay.
Once we get that prototype set up, then we'll get it up there so that everyone knows it's coming, and we'll just say, hey, if you want to order now and be in the front of the line, go for it.
Sweet, like it. I'll have to tell my friend. John Taylor's asking, any thoughts of creating an underseat drawer for the Unlimited with the seat bracket?
Thoughts, yes. Actions thus far, no. We're actually doing some cleaning and got our old seat trays that we prototyped for the Fusion seats, and
Okay.
just kind of rekindled that idea. So it's a great idea. There's definitely space and kind of everything is there that you need to work with, but it's not something we've been able to put time and energy on yet. But we'd still like to get to that some point here.
Okay. Emilio is asking which one is better, the Frontier or the Unlimited?
Both. They're just, I mean, they're
Different boats,
different. They're two different boats. And, you know, a lot of the comments that we've seen from people who, you know, especially on our team that have used, you know, the Pursuit and or the F12 extensively, you know, they get in the Unlimited and they're just like, this isn't like one of those. It's its own boat. It has its own feel. And really it's just going to come down to, you know, what suits you best. And so the best thing you can do is kind of, you know, if you have a chance to demo them, you know, share on the owners group with others, you know, what specifically you're looking to do and what's important to you. And that will probably be the biggest thing to really help guide you in the right direction, because for some things and for some people, the Frontier 12 is definitely best. For other people, other things, the Unlimited is definitely best. You know, I wouldn't say that any one of our kayaks is the best. They're all awesome for different purposes and, you know, for different people doing different things at different times.
I've seen this a couple times pop up tonight. Covers for rod holders, the flush mount rod holders on the Unlimited.
Yes.
We have them?
Yeah. No. See, the gaskets that we had for the flush mount rod holders for the that we've used in the past for the Flint and the Pursuit had the cover on them.
Okay.
But the gasket part wasn't the best, and just the overall, you know, it's just one of those parts that we weren't super happy with, and those covers don't stay on really well, and it just, you know, kind of engaging some feedback through the team and through others, you know, we just decided that having a gasket that performed really well and was really clean and just, you know, provide an awesome seal was more valuable than having the potential to have the cover. So when we brought out the Unlimited, we used the gaskets that are custom gaskets that don't have a cover. Then we transitioned the other models to them as well. So the rod tubes are completely solid inside. There's no opportunity for water to go through that flush rod holder into the tube and, you know, get into your hole. But we did phase out the gaskets that had the cover in place of the custom gaskets.
Right on. This is always a question that pops up, and I think it's in regards to any kayak in particularly, but I'll let you answer this one. And this gentleman's asking about the Unlimited. Can it be stored long-term on a trailer without warping or other issues?
Yes, but definitely the best way to store it if you're doing that is upside down. When you put any of our boats upside down on the gunnels, the whole shape, it treats it really well. If you're storing them long term, you know, kind of with the two arms of your trailer, your bunks, you know, on the kayak. If you're out in the heat, you know, through the elements over time, you can definitely get some, you know, impressions, or the bow sags a little bit, something like that. So if you have you know, just tipping them upside down, you know, if you're not going to be, you know, using the boat for a week or two or something like that is a great idea. Even putting them on their side where they're more on the gunnel, kind of vertical, can help. But long term, just having them be right side up, like on two arms, I wouldn't recommend that. You know, you'd be better off in that case having kind of long, you know, PVC pipes or 2x4s or something that would support the whole, you know, from bow to stern instead of just in two places.
Right on. Bob Briggs is asking, how does the retract cord locking mechanism on the transducer mount attach to the Unlimited?
The whole device here?
Well, I think he's talking about the cord to hold it up. So there's a spot for a cleat to mount to the deck of the boat, correct?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of cover everything, just so not to be completely answer all the potential questions. So this part, the transducer cable cord is going to feed up through the transducer. You know, this part's going to go up to through the scupper, not the transducer. And then this will come down from the top side and secure there. And that's how it'll tighten and be essentially all held in place. And then the cord, my cord is two ends coming out, but this would be tied off in here. Then you'd have one loose end of the cord, and it would just, when you pull it up to retract it, it would just lock on the cleat. So a similar cleat that we have on the retract cord would just be on the floor, on the deck. So just kind of pull, move it to the side, and it would lock in.
Very cool. Awesome, man. Well, I think we got through all the questions. What's next? I mean,
what's next after all this good stuff?
Yeah, I mean, come on. You don't want to. I know you. You never slow down. You just keep going forward, man.
Well, I could. There's definitely some next. Don't worry about that.
Okay. All right. All right.
We've got enough brewing right now. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, and really trying to get things right, bring them out on time, is huge. So getting more done kind of when it's behind the scenes, off the radar, is beneficial. And some of the things that we have planned, really will just kind of have to depend when we're going full speed ahead, just trying to fill orders and stuff. There's just a little bit less time to go around to prioritize on cranking something new out.
Sure.
So we're still moving forward on all the new stuff, but we don't want to take our eyes off the ball of getting orders filled, of keeping production going, getting accessories out the door, doing all that good stuff. So we will be at ICAST this summer, late July in Orlando. So maybe there'll be some new stuff to show off there.
Nice. I need a ticket. I'll be there. We got another question. Is there a way to mount a power pole bracket when you have either the pivot drive or EPS or Torqeedo set up? So any of the motor mounts in the back?
Yeah. None of our mounts have that essentially like built in where it's, kind of designed that way, or there's a natural add-on to say, hey, yeah, just add this on and then you can do it. Definitely on the Unlimited with those tracks in the back, there'd be ways to do it. And I'm sure there's ways and people that have done it on the other models as well, but we don't have kind of a ready to go answer solution for doing the power pole and, one of the motor options at this point.
Okay. All right. Right on. And then, Tyler Bean is asking, can we get aluminum tracks for the Frontier 12? And I'm assuming he's referring to the new top load tracks.
Yes, that is something we're working on. I mentioned with the gear pod that those aluminum tracks are challenging on the supply side. So as soon as we can have enough tracks to ensure that we can continue production and assembly on boats, then we will allocate, produce and allocate some of those for make them available for existing owners that want to retrofit, their NuCanoe with the aluminum tracks. So,
cool.
Barring any unexpected delays, that should be probably, we'd be looking at probably June, early July.
Okay, right on.
I should say any further unexpected delays, because there's been nothing but unexpected delays so far. But I think we're locked in on production and shipping here pretty quick. So
it's like with anything right now, man. It's just it's nuts all across the board, no matter what you're trying to get nowadays.
It definitely is. I mean, we're fortunate. We've had a lot of great suppliers we work with. Most of the suppliers that we work with, we've been, working with them for 5, 10, 12 years or more. Sure. And those relationships have really come through for us that, man, when we call someone up and say, hey, we're in a real pinch, what can you do, man? They've just come through. So it's awesome. Been awesome. It's been a, team effort, internally here, but also just with all of our suppliers and partners out there that help keep these boats cranking out day in and day out.
Very cool. Very cool. Anything else before we part ways, my friend?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to our crew at the shop, making things happen every day. Kyla and Lori, handle customer support and dealer support and kind of all the accounting and back end stuff. We've got Christian in the shop, Jay in the shop. Tyler joined us this week. We got Blake, who's coming back from the Grand Canyon here end of this week, early next week, and Keon. And then Brian and Megan handling the marketing, social media, Mike, customer support. Got an awesome team here. Everyone's committed to doing a great job and getting things done. And it's just been awesome to see how just everything's evolved and improved and how everyone's stepped up to make things happen. And super proud of them and our dealers, our team, and all our owners out there. I know a lot of you have been very patient very understanding when we've not been able to ship things on time or just had not had accurate information. Thank you for that. And just, really just feel, really blessed for everyone that helps make this thing happen every day. And Brian, yourself included, man, taking your time to run this podcast every week, man. We really appreciate it.
No worries, my man. That's what I do. They don't call me the pod father for nothing.
There you go. You got to earn that name.
But with that being said, we were supposed to have Stuart Venoble this week. We're going to have him next week. So be sure to tune in next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you're on the West Coast, that's 5 p.m. And we got a whole slew of great Team NuCanoe's guys lined up for the next few weeks. So, if you guys have any questions or anything like that about all these new mounts and stuff, feel free to reach out to NuCanoe support, and they will be more than happy to answer any and all of your questions.
Brian, let me just chime in and say, just give us a couple days. We're going to be doing some videos tomorrow, getting some content out. So if you have questions, if you can just sit tight for, 3, 5, 6 days, I'm pretty sure we're going to have solid answers, resources for you, by early next week. And some of that stuff will be coming out in the next few days as well.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, as always, if you guys missed the show, you can go, or the beginning part of the show, you can go back, watch it. This also gets uploaded to the podcast platforms. Go on any major podcast platform. Just search NuCanoes Unlimited, and it'll pop up. So if you like listening to podcasts in the car, maybe want to go back, re-listen to something, we may have talked about tonight, and just want to touch up on it, you can do that. Blake, my friend, thank you for taking the time this evening to share the good word with all the good folks. And
my pleasure. Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. Boys and girls, till next time, tight lines.